Like you said, he's got 3 rings, right? And just to clarify, none of those rings are with Toronto, right?
Is Fraser Minton going to have more points than Slavkovsky this year? Fraser Minton sucks at hockey. This guy might not even be an NHLer, so we got to settle down on that one.
Adelaide, no. Minus 160 on will they show her holding a drink in her hand.
They are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, and they are.
Oh, the Blues are dog water. The Blues suck. The Blues are the worst of those 4 teams that I mentioned by a mile.
And
they're not a good hockey team.
Care, like have some set of balls, have some response, have some pride for what the hell goes on the ice. It's so absurd.
I'm looking forward to the parade, but that's going to be later in the year.
I'd rather have so money in that than have Arbor Soda Ball. I would rather stack a bunch of garbage that I have in the corner of my room over here than have Arbor Soda Ball in that. He's
March 21st, welcome back to Edgework presented by Stacks. I'm Zack Phillips, joined here on Thursday morning with the crew that comes in to clean everything up. So Money Sports and Rusty Bill to close out this, or to kick off, I guess, March Madness here. You know, what a schedule here by the NHL. You've got a light schedule throughout the beginning of the week, and the first day that you get March Madness games, we get 11 NHL games because why not? But we will get into all of those. We'll break them down, give out our best bets. We'll answer questions in the chat if you guys have them. And before we do any of that, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't yet, you should be signing up for the Stacks Betting Exchange. If you're sick of getting limited and profiled, Stacks is a unique sports betting exchange that offers higher limits and better pricing. Stacks offers a fair and real-time marketplace for users to bet on the outcome of sporting events, offering better odds in a peer-to-peer marketplace. Stacks is the best option for anyone who wants to wager on live sports. Make sure to add Stacks to your list of outs and sign up today. You can get commission-free trading when you sign up now. The option is yours at Stacks. So head on over there, sign up as well. If you want to join into the conversation, you can join the Discord. The link is in the description of the show, whether it's on YouTube or podcast that you consume this, but that's where you can find it. Now, So Money, I see the title there. Thursday crew back to clean up the mess as usual, hence why I said it off the top. But 1 and 2 last night. The only bet that wins is Alber's Leafs money line pick, which everyone was not against necessarily, but not entirely for. And you go to 303, 314, and 12 on the season, 2.7% ROI. We are now up 17.5 units on the year. It's been rough since All-Star game for the group as a collective, but someone you think we're going to be able to clean things up here today?
I know we will, because that's been the trend the whole season, right? Like the Thursday guys come in and we usually have very good Thursdays and we clean up for the rest of the week before these other guys come back and start screwing things up again. In fact, another thing I need to get off my chest, Rob Pizzola, right? He starts in here like Vince McMahon, right? With his only intention to slander the Canucks. Right. So I didn't take too kindly to that. Right. Yeah. So, yeah. So not only are we going to turn it around, this is going to be a very good Thursday show. And just as we've done all year, we're going to bail these guys out again.
And as Moretto points out in the chat there, Rob hasn't won a bet on Edgework since 2023. That's just a fact. He hasn't. Yeah. Incredible.
Like, he's just like strutting in here like, fuck, man. Like,
you know, one thing I noticed is we get these murmurs from the other days of the week, and I'm mostly not talking about Monday, Thursday, or Friday here. And you hear, "Oh, tonight's card, it sucks. Tonight's card, it's no good. I don't like tonight's card." I don't hear that from the Thursday guys. I don't hear that. You can only play who's in front of you. You see the lineup, you see the card, you see the games. You get it done. You give out your bets, and we move on. So that's what we'll do here tonight.
You put on your hard hat, you take your lunchbox, and you get to work. That's all what it's about. Right? There's no complaining here. Let's just So once again, on a Thursday, let's just go bail these guys out again.
All right. Well, let's clean it up, and let's start here with one of the games that we've got on the schedule. You guys have some bets in, and because there's a big slate of games, and we'll see if anybody in the chat has questions about some of the other games as well, because we're not going to have bets in all of them. We're not going to go through every single one, but we'll start with the Bruins game here tonight, where the Bruins are taking on the New York Rangers, and you see currently the best price available on Boston, -135, best price on the Rangers, +126. That's available at Stacks there. Total of 5.5 right across the board. And Russ, you've got some interest in this one.
Yes. I probably should stop betting against the Rangers at some point this season, but today's not going to be that day. We did play the Bruins money line right around -130. I would play this maybe 10 cents higher. I do think it's going to move now that we have Quick confirmed in net. I was telling the guys before the show, I probably would stray away from this if Igor Shesterkin was in, but he's not going to be in today, it doesn't look like. So I do think this will take some money. So I'd lock in this -135 right away and play it right up to -140 is all. That's about all the edge I have. But, I've tweeted about this Rangers team. They're a little bit of an anomaly, really not playing the best hockey. The metrics do not support the hockey they're playing. 29th in expected goals for and 30th in expected goals allowed. But Igor Shesterkin is just playing absolutely amazing hockey recently. He's 5 goals ahead of the next guy and goals saved above expectation, easily first in that metric over the last month or so, just completely stonewalling some of these better teams than they are. And, on Twitter, this is what Rob said when I tweeted about this and had a couple of responses. It's like all these metrics can be thrown out the window if you have a goalie that's playing this well. And fortunately, he's not in net tonight. So I'm going to take the Bruins here. Honestly, have been playing a little bit better hockey. The Bruins are a solid team at home, 23-8 on the year. And you're going to get Quick versus Swayman, I believe, who really are basically very, very similar in metrics. 28th in goals saved above expectation, and Swayman's 31st. So that's the way I'm going to go. I think the Bruins are starting to play a little bit better. And, I just can't ignore some of these metrics for the Rangers. And that definitely gives me an edge on the Bruins. I'm closer to -150-ish here. So I would lock that in right away, because I do think once everyone knows that Quick is in, the Bruins will take some money. So I think -135 on the Bruins is a great way to start the day.
And that one is available at some major books there. So grab -135 on the Bruins. Goes out to -140, which is, if you're not getting that -135, -140 is pretty much plastered across the majority of the other books that are out there right now. So very much still playable. Now some money. Russ talked a little bit about some of the metrics that we've seen on the Rangers. I continue to hear, though, Alber going on and on and on about this Rangers team and how they're so good and it doesn't matter. And some of it is going to be because of what Russ is saying with the goaltender. But obviously, you got a spot here tonight. He's not in net. Are you in agreement with Russ, or are you going to maybe throw Alber a bone here?
No, I do agree with Russ here. I think that we know what the Rangers are at this point. They're not gonna wow you, right, on their score sheets, but they do tend to get the job done. Now with the Bruins, we touched on this, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, where we were saying that the Bruins are very close to breaking out, and the goals are going to start coming in bunches for them. Well, they have broken out now. Granted, 6 goals last 2 games against Philadelphia and Ottawa. That's tough to get behind, but the goals are coming now. You step up in class against the Rangers defensive team. So I do like the Bruins. I do agree with Russ's look. I'm gonna pass, but it was the Bruins for me or nothing. On the total, of course, the 5.5 stands out. 5.5 always stand out for me. The Rangers are a team that I'm okay with the 5.5. But right now the Bruins are not. So for that reason, I'll pass on the total as well, because, like I mentioned, the goals are coming for the Bruins. So I want to see how they do first as they kind of step up in their defensive class, or their step up against their defensive opponent here, before I kind of make the judgment for sure that the Bruins are no longer an under 5.5 team. So for those 2 reasons, I'll pass on the total, but I do like the Bruins here as well.
All right, well, let's head out to Edmonton, where we got the Oilers hosting the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Edmonton minus 217. The Sabres, again, best price available at Stacks plus 200. And you'll notice for a lot of the games we're talking about here, we're going to mention the best price available being at Stacks, which is just yet another reason why you should be signing up there at that book. Now, as far as the total goes, we're seeing 6s, 6.5. So a couple different numbers across the market right now in this one, but Russ, what's the approach that you're looking to take in this game tonight?
Yeah, if you watch this show the last couple of weeks, this should come as no surprise. Me and everyone else in the hockey community has been just riding these Sabres unders, and they've just been great. It seems like the odds makers are adjusting a little bit when we see this flat 6. I was very surprised to see this, and I did play under 6.5 right around minus 115 yesterday. Yeah, I would probably still take that under 6.5 at minus 120. After that, I would probably shift to the plus money 6s. I think in a game like this, I do think that half goal is important, and I would pay the premium to get that half goal. So I think under 6.5 would be the way to go if you can get that price. But this is not a super complicated handicap. These are two dead nut under teams playing very, very good defense, actually getting really, really good goaltending, and not generating a ton of chances. This Sabres team is completely, slow it down, stop the very, very low event hockey and try to get, try and win a 3-2 game, just like they did against Vancouver the other night. The metrics are a little bit in the middle here, but when you look at some of these over-unders on both of these teams over the last month, or even the last week, Edmonton 2-8 in their last 10 to the under. Buffalo has gone under in 6 out of their last 8 and 9 out of their last 10 on the road. So even on the road, they want to play very, very low event hockey. I think 6.5 is just a little bit too high. Probably should be 6 minus 110 both ways. And it does look like the odds makers will probably get there in the next couple of weeks, but I think there's a little bit of juice left to be squeezed out of this under. So that's the way we're going to go. I don't think, I know Moretto and pretty much everyone else in the hockey community probably agrees with me. So I would again get this in before it moves, because it'll probably end up being a 6 all the way across the board.
All right, we'll grab that minus 120. Now, Russ, before I go to some money for his thoughts on this game, if people are looking at the 6.5 and maybe they don't have a minus 120 exactly out there, first, where would you be willing to play that 6.5 to? What's kind of your range on the 6.5? If you're willing to pay the premium, how far does that go? And then at what point does that just turn over to you saying, you know what, I'm going to play the 6, and what price do you need there?
I probably would not go any higher than minus 120 here on the 6.5. This is with two teams like this, I do love the under, but there's a little bit of variance in the Edmonton Oilers, and who knows, what they can do on offense. And so I would play that right to minus 120. And then if you can get the 6, if you got that plus 105 or even plus 110, that's certainly the way I would look. Be hoping that this game is 2-2 in the third period, and then we get a 3-2 game, something like that. I think is very, very probable. So that's the way I would go, right around minus 120. I probably wouldn't pay too much more for that.
All right, we'll lock that one in there at the under 6.5 minus 120. So money. How do you feel about this game tonight? Do you have any interest in it, or do you have any bets in it?
Yeah, we can go ahead and make it a best bet on that under, or double best bet on that under. In terms of the pricing, I'm completely fine with playing the plus money under 6. What did we lock it in at?
Under 6.5 minus 120.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I completely agree there. Buffalo, Russ mentioned they're a team that does want to play unders. They're a low event team. That is the way they want to play hockey. Now, against the Canucks, it was fortunate that game stayed under, because realistically the Canucks could have scored 8 goals in that game. I thought that Levi was outstanding. And what we've seen from the Sabres team is that when they have deviated from the way that they want to play, they do respond, generally speaking, with a pretty good defensive game. Now, you're playing the Oilers. It's really tough to play a good defensive game, especially in Edmonton, where the Oilers kind of dictate the way that they want to play. But the Oilers also don't necessarily want to get up and down as well, right? So even though the Oilers score goals, you go through their games, and like it's not as if these games are as high event as the scores indicate. The Oilers are getting better goaltending. Sabres are getting very good goaltending recently. So I do like the under in this game. Russ mentioned, obviously, there's some variance with Oilers games, and that's something that we have to accept going into it, because it's very likely at any time the Oilers can score 5-6 goals, and you're screwed anyways. But I still think at 6.5 minus 120, there's value there, because where I've made this number would have been a flat 6, and I think we are headed towards a flat 6. But just games in Edmonton, sometimes the totals are still slightly inflated, and that's where we do get the edge in this situation.
All right, there you go. Double best bet on the under in this one. We'll grab the under 6.5 minus 120, but so money again is fine to play that over under 6, at plus money as well. So two different ways if you want to approach this one, but that pretty much opens things up for you any way you want to grab an under here, especially given how the market was shaping out. Keep moving on here. Another game that we're looking at tonight, the Vegas Golden Knights against the Seattle Kraken. Vegas and Seattle best prices you can find, but Golden Knights minus 179 at Stacks, the Kraken plus 163 at Stacks, and totals at 5.5 and 6 here in this one. So money, what's the way that you're approaching this game?
So when Seattle gets even any sort of average NHL caliber goaltending, they're a dead under team, right? We saw against the Sabres, where I didn't think Seattle played that poorly in that 6-2 loss. I think the score kind of got away from them a bit, but that was a very poor game by Joey Daccord. So and that hasn't been the case the last couple of months here, as we know. But I'm not expecting. Well, you can't expect a goaltender to have a below average NHL game unless, if you talk to Alex Smith and he talks about Soderblom, but that's a different situation though. In this case, I would expect Seattle going into any game to get average NHL goaltending, right? So that's the way that I would be going into this game. Vegas has really tightened up defensively. Recently, they did have a little blip in Calgary, but even with that weak defensive game, that game still stayed under, right? Because they are, for the most part, besides the last game from Adin Hill, they are getting the goaltending. They are stronger defensively, and even in that game against Tampa Bay, where I just referenced with Adin Hill, that was still a pretty low event game, right? Like that game shouldn't have reached 8 goals. So I do like both of these teams as under teams. In fact, we're really close to both of these teams being under 5.5 teams as well, right? So getting the 6 here, getting it up to minus 115, I think that we are good, because if these two exact teams played next week in this exact same situation, we start seeing flat 5.5. So I think that we do have the edge on the 6 here.
Perfect. So grab a under 6 minus 113 there. There's a lot of minus 115s out there as well right now. So no matter where it is that you're looking, you should be able to get that one and play it. As we lock this in here, Russ, do you have any opinion on this Seattle Vegas game tonight?
No opinion. I think it's about on market. I do agree with the under look. I'm not gonna disagree with that at all. When you have basically two under teams. So many mentioned that the Knights are stepping it up defensively, and this is against a Kraken team who really can't generate any chances. 26 in expected goals for over the last month. I don't expect that to change tonight. I really like Adin Hill. I think he's a great young goaltender. And on the other side, yeah, I think Joey Daccord or Grubauer is playing pretty well as well. So I like both goalies. Both teams are fairly good defensively and really can't generate anything on offense. So I would agree. I think that probably a touch high on the 6. So, yep, I concur.
All right, there you go. 3 best bets locked in here, and we do have a double of best bet in the last one, and one more game that you guys were looking at ahead of this one. And again, if you guys are watching in the chat, if you guys are watching and you're in the chat and you don't have anything or you have questions about games that we haven't touched on yet, please make sure to send those in there. We'll try to answer those as we continue to go through the show here today, and get towards the end before we send you guys off to some March Madness. But next up, let's take a look at the Red Wings Islanders game, where we're currently seeing Detroit plus 104. You can see mostly that one's starting to creep into some minus money there. But you see on the other side, the Islanders minus 110 area as well. Now in this one, totals of 6.5 and 6. So, Monty, what are your thoughts on this game? And you got another bet for us here?
Yeah, so I am going with the under here. At the 6.5 up to minus 120. Can we get that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So up to minus 120 there. So with the Islanders, they're just not getting good goaltending right now. And this is another situation where we have a large body of work with Sorokin, where he's a fine goaltender, right? And he's just struggling a little bit right now. In fact, his whole season hasn't been up to his standards. Now, going into this game, similarly to what you kind of expect Seattle to get some sort of average goaltending, there's a floor that I would expect Sorokin to be at, right? And if he performs to that floor, with the way that the Islanders really want to play hockey and the way that they've been showing, playing pretty much low event hockey, me expecting a floor from Sorokin would make this game an under 6.5. Right. So that's from the Islanders' perspective. On the Red Wings, Moretto's gonna love this, right? It's just one of those situations where you have a team that wants to play low event hockey, does play low event hockey, but somehow we find their games going over. I just go through these box scores and like the way that I've scored these games for them. Besides the Pittsburgh game where that was a 6-3 game that really should have gone over, and the 7-3 Buffalo game that should have gone over, we're seeing a bunch of Red Wings games where they want to play low event hockey, right? I think that this is essentially a playoff matchup. I think that both teams are going to go into it trying to play the way that they want to play. Now, Sorokin could have a bad game again. Red Wings can score everything they touch and the game flies over. But those things are not what you would expect going into the game. So it's not a consideration for me.
Right.
At the 6.5, I do have an edge there. So under 6.5, I feel good about it, and it's not a Moretto day, so it's not like we got bad karma or anything, right? Like we're the Thursday crew, and we're here to clean up.
And he's in the chat. I know he's gonna be the cleanup crew on the Thursday. We'll lock in the under 6.5 minus 110 here for the show. Russ, what are your thoughts in this game? And maybe are you with Moretto here? And you got 2 bets in the same game with the Islanders and the under?
Well, let's start with the under. Look, I certainly lean that direction. It looks like the market is in agreement because it has moved that direction. You'd be hard pressed to get me to play an Islanders under this time in the season. Earlier in the season we were smashing these Islanders unders, but since they got the new coach and all of that, they have really tightened it up on defense. One of the best defensive teams in the league. So I would definitely not play an over with the Islanders on the ice at all. Detroit's a little bit of a different story. They have really struggled in goaltending. Alex Lyon has just shit the bed basically. But we're going to get James Reimer here, who's actually been a lot better in the last month or so. So you avoid Alex Lyon, and it might be Varlamov for the Islanders, which I don't think is a bad thing. So, I think the number's about right at 6.5. I mean, I can support so money's under here just because the Islanders have been so good on defense. And then honestly, the Islanders have taken a little bit of money. I do have a small edge on the Islanders, but it's such a disgusting look and disgusting play. There's so much variance with who you're going to get in net. So I do think I'm just going to pass on this. Two teams who have really struggled lately. Islanders have lost 5 in a row. Detroit is 2-8 in their last 10. This is a huge game for both teams. A little bit of a lean towards the Islanders, but I'm not gonna lock it in, I don't think.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. All right, last game that we had here that we're gonna look at for best bets, the Lightning San Jose Sharks game, and someone in the chat started hinting at it there, Claudio, where we see San Jose. Russ, you see San Jose plus 322, Tampa minus 350 here. Total of 6.5, and I don't think this is one Russ is looking to get disgusting in, but you do have a bet for us?
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my
all good.
My screen. Yeah, this is a struggling to keep up with all of these unders. It does not like it. No, this is a great play and maybe one of my favorites of the night. We're gonna go over 6.5 here. I think minus 110, minus 112 is a fantastic price on this over. Yeah, that's fine. It does look like it's starting to take some money all the way up to minus 121 at Pinnacle. Should be kind of telling. So yeah, get this in right away. When you look at some of these metrics that really don't support this, it's kind of interesting. This Tampa Bay team has pretty low expectations when you look at expected goals for, but go into some of their actual box scores the last few games. They scored 5 goals, 6 and 7 in their last 4. And then when you look at San Jose's metrics, it really does support this. 32nd in expected goals for. They've allowed 8, 5, 4, and 6 in their last 4, and 32nd in save percentage. So you're getting one of the worst defensive teams, one of the worst goaltending teams against one of the hottest offensive teams in the league here. Another look is Tampa Bay over their team total, but I think you can get a cheaper price on just playing the game. And I expect San Jose to dump in a few here as well. Vasilevsky has not been great. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a 6-2 game and this goes over fairly easily. So I think over 6.5 minus 115 is a great price. I would lock it in right away. I do think it'll move. I would play it right up all the way up to probably minus 120, minus 125. Other than that, I'd probably say you missed the boat. So that's the last play. I think over 6.5 is great here.
Yeah, and we did grab that. We are able to grab that minus 115, and that one is pretty much available across a bunch of different books there out to minus 120, so everyone should be able to get access to that. So, Money, what are your thoughts on this game? Are you going to get involved? I mean, I've been dying for someone to say they're going to get disgusting, but I think that's also why we're the cleanup crew, is because we're not getting disgusting in that way.
Yeah, I think that the Sharks have a large fuck it factor with them, right? Like you see them playing their games, they're just end to end, right? It's like the Ducks and like to some extent the Blue Jackets, where you're just playing pond hockey. So it's tough to think that you're going to get any sort of proper hockey from the Sharks, right? Like, so that Tampa Bay is going to generate chances. Hopefully they convert. The only concern I have for Tampa Bay, and I don't know if it translates against a team that's just going to allow you to skate, but Tampa Bay has been playing well defensively for the most part recently. The only reason that their games have been going over is because Vasilevsky has not played up to his standards recently, right? Other than that, and like that's not so like the theme of this show, right? Like it's not something that you expect because Vasilevsky's floor is so high, right? So when he's playing below his floor, that is not the expectation, right? The expectation should always be at least the floor, right? So going into the game, that is what I would be expecting from Vasilevsky. So even if we do get him at his floor level, I don't anticipate Tampa Bay have any problems generating chances. The concern would be if they just want to put in a professional game and just get their win and get out of town, right? So that would be a concern. But I do like the overlook. I'll pass. I think the price got away from me a little bit, but I think that the over is good. If they do decide, Tampa Bay does, if they do decide they want to give Vasilevsky the night off, obviously it's going to be an over for sure. I don't know if they'll give him a night off because they do have a back-to-back coming on the weekend. So what you'll end up having is Vasilevsky playing one out of the next 3 games. And when you're trying to get into the playoffs, you don't want Vasilevsky playing 1 out of 3 games. So for that reason, I suspect Vasilevsky starts and he sits one of the weekend games. But if Cooper wants to sit him tonight, then keep an eye on that because that'll be an automatic over and the market will get flooded.
All right, well, that's all that we had for best bets coming into this one. We will recap everything at the very end of the show here. Now, as we've gone along, as more information has come out, as markets have moved and stuff like that, so Money, have there been any other games that you have interest in, that you have bets in? Is there anything that you're going to be looking out for throughout the remainder of the day?
Besides the Tampa Bay over, where we're looking at goaltending, I had some interest. Mike just mentioned it in the chat. I do have interest in that Anaheim Chicago over. The problem is that Anaheim, they do want to play pawn hockey, but I mean at any point they can just pack it in as well, right? Like Anaheim is a tough team to kind of get behind. We're also seeing them play low event hockey as well recently, just because they can't generate much, right? So on that 6, if it gets cheaper, I'll consider it, but probably a pass for now. Other than that, just scanning my numbers on the board here, there's not anything else. I do have interest in the Hurricanes under as well, but it's the Flyers goaltending that concerns me. I would want a good plus money on the under 6 for me to consider that into the plus 105 106 range. For me to consider an under 6. As it is right now, I will pass, but if it does get there, then I like the Flyers under as well.
And Russ, anything for you that is coming up or you're waiting for that wasn't on the card to start this morning?
Not necessarily when looking at sides and totals. I think we pretty much covered everything. There's one bet I did make, and unfortunately, I mentioned this to you before we went on air, but BetStamp does not have it, so we can't lock it in. But I'm looking at, and I did play the Winnipeg Jets first goal scored in that game, first team to score. The Devils have given up the first goal in almost 3 out of 4 games, over 75% of their games this season. The Jets are a team that gets off to a fast start. A lot of places have this priced appropriately, right around minus 130-ish. But at DraftKings, it's minus 110 both ways. So a little bonus play there for you. I think if you have access to DraftKings, this Winnipeg Jets first team to score at minus 110 is a great play, one that I've played already myself. Like I said, unfortunately, BetStamp does not have it yet. At some point, I imagine they will add it. But that's one look that I wanted to share with everybody. Other than that, I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right. Yeah, and doesn't have it right now. Hopefully we'll be able to add it soon. We're obviously only going to track plays here that can be verified and that everyone else can see, but happy to give those ones out. So it definitely makes sense there. Before we can get out of here, So Money, I was sent something last night. I was asked to display it on the screen here today and get a reaction from you. And I'm sure you'll figure out very quickly who sent these over as we kind of march down the end of the season here and our awards campaigns continue to build. I was sent this tweet. In regards to Spencer Carberry and Rick Tocchet and the Coach of the Year battle that's taking place. First, 2 times this season, Carberry went head-to-head with Tocchet, and both times he had come away with victories attached to our photos with final scores of those games. And damning evidence, as our friend Borlucci points out here. And then the other thing that I was sent was this decent little write-up here in regards to Rick Tocchet and his head-to-head with Spencer Carberry and who would come out on top in regards to the Coach of the Year, the Jack Adams for this season. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Coach of the Year race and where you're at with Rick Tocchet and his candidacy versus a guy like maybe, I don't know, we'll just throw out there Spencer Carberry.
Yeah, I love Bortolucci. I think he's a great guy. And he's leading the campaign right now on Carberry as well. And
you wrote me in.
Yeah, we've touched on it, right? Like there is a path for him. It's not likely, but I mean it is possible, right? Like you have if the Caps make it into the playoffs, if Flyers drop out of the playoffs, and if the Canucks don't win their division, which all could happen, right? Like there's a path to that happening. Then why not Carberry, right? Like because you essentially take Tortorella out of it, possibly take Tocchet out of it. Of course, Bonus and Maurice are still there, but what Washington has done with that team, actually, I should rephrase that. What Carberry has done with that team, right? Like that, I mean, it's possible. It's not going to happen, but it is worth campaigning over, and it is worth dragging him into the fight here. So I respect the efforts. I always appreciate his efforts for what Bortolucci does. But I mean, if it's not Tocchet, I want it to be him.
All right. Well, I wanted to show that I got roped into the campaign as well, so I'm on board here now too. I got to be part of the push that takes place, and you wanted to show me some of that, as he called it, damning evidence on the show here today. But I need to get a reaction from you on that. As far as our plays go today, so many called it the Thursday cleanup crew. Well, 11 games on the schedule for tonight, but that doesn't mean we have to spray the board. We're not going to just come out here and launch bets for the sake of launching bets. We're going to go quality over quantity here today. We got 5 best bets for everybody, and you can find those in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ, but most importantly, you can find them right here on the live show, Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Recapping our bets for today here. We're starting with the Red Wings Islanders under 6.5, minus 110 there. And we're also going to take the Bruins money line against the Rangers tonight, minus 135. That one you're already seeing start to move. The Sabres Oilers under 6.5, minus 120. The Lightning Sharks over 6.5, minus 115. And finally, the Kraken Golden Knights under 6, minus 113. Those are our best bets for tonight. If you did enjoy the show here today, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time we go live so you don't miss any shows going forward. So Money, Russ, thank you guys for doing this here today. Appreciate you taking the time as always. Appreciate you coming in as the Thursday cleanup crew. We'll be back here with So Money and Alex B. Smith tomorrow to close out the week. For everyone else, enjoy the NHL games tonight, obviously, but day 1 of March Madness, enjoy that. Make sure to head on over to the BetStamp app to dial in your bets. And if you're looking to bet on some March Madness, maybe Stacks is the place you'll be looking to fill some positions here today. So sign up at Stacks now, at the betting exchange for peer-to-peer odds, if you are looking to bet on some March Madness for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the games. Good luck on your bets.